Ladies and gentlemen, the first week of Raiders training camp has completely wrapped up. We're going to talk about many positions, who is trending upwards and who is trending downwards, what actually happened during training camp outside of the quarterback position. Plus, we had some sports celebrities speak out about the Raiders situation right now, and some of the responses they gave were quite interesting. Full padded practice is going to happen in just a few days on Tuesday. Even though I'm trying to not work on this Sabbath, we are going to break all this down right here, right now. So one thing that has stood out to me so far, just by looking at all the different reports from several people there at training camp, it looks like Hunter Renfrow is going to be a part of the Raiders' plans this year. He seemed like he wanted to redeem himself in the press conference. I do not think the Raiders are going to get offered big compensation for Renfrow through a trade. The best financial decision for them is just to keep this guy on the roster, and then you have reports that Hunter Renfrow and Jakobi Meyers are having good days, along with tight end Michael Mayer, the rookie, drafted in the second round out of Notre Dame. And so when you're looking at this offense, it seems pretty complete. You're going to have Meyers there. You're going to have Hunter Renfrow. He's going to be a part of this team with Devontae Adams. That's a dangerous receiving core, and Michael Mayer looks like he's positioning himself to be the starter. And when you draft a guy that high, that's what you can expect. OJ Howard, Austin Hooper, they probably understand the situation. They are just some bridge tight ends right now. Perhaps we'll see somebody like Trey Tucker, the former third-round pick, in preseason primarily. He's going to have to try to find a role as a gadget player, maybe in special teams. This is due to the fact that it looks like Hunter Renfrow is going to be the starter this year for sure. But a fourth-round pick may be starting in the regular season, and that's none other than Jacorian Bennett out of Maryland, who, keep in mind, the Raiders selected over Kelee Ringo in Georgia, so they really believe in this guy, and you have some positive reports about him. You have reporters of The Athletic hyping up Jacorian Bennett, saying he's been aggressive on the ball, and then you even have other reporters from the Las Vegas Review-Journal saying that the starting cornerback group could quite possibly be a combination of Marcus Peters, Jacorian Bennett on the outside, and then you have Nate Hobbs there in the slot. And if you're thinking about the cornerback rooms the Raiders have had over the past few years, if you have these three guys starting and Jacorian Bennett is as advertised, then I do think this could be one of the better secondaries the Raiders have had in a very long time. But the big problem is Nate Hobbs. It seems like we're all assuming that he is going to be the starter in the slot, but he is somebody who I think his stock is trending downwards a little bit just because he has not been there at training camp once yet. The softball thing to the face really did set him back, and hopefully we'll see him next week and he'll be that starting nickel corner that we all know he could be. And we're talking about the secondary, and Trayvon Merrick is another person whose stock is trending upwards. He had a great season in 2021 in Gus Bradley's scheme, and then last year under Patrick Graham, he regressed, and a lot of people were thinking maybe the Raiders will look elsewhere at safety, but it seems like he's been doing well pairing with Marcus Epps, the former Eagle, and Merrick is still under contract for this year and next season, so hopefully he really balls out and he could be considered a second-round pick success story for the Raiders as he was drafted in 2021. And the running back situation is interesting. Josh Jacobs' stock is obviously trending down because the guy doesn't seem like he wants to play, but you got other people trending up, and I would say Amir Abdullah is somebody who's trending up as a pass-catching back. You hear reports about him participating and doing well, and then you also have Zamir White, who I believe is trending upwards. And on top of that, you have some more under-the-radar people like Austin Walter, who played a lot in preseason last year. You have reporters from The Athletic saying this guy is explosive and seems to be balling out in the kick return game. So it's great to see a guy who's been grinding it out on preseason practice squads over the past few years, maybe being able to carve out a role for himself on the 53-man roster. But unfortunately, there are people who have their stock falling, and I would say it's mainly on the interior defensive line, in particular Neil Farrell Jr., who's been placed on the NFI list, along with Byron Young. These guys have straight up not been available, and Byron Young was selected in the third round out of Alabama. You have Neil Farrell Jr. selected in the fourth round last year in 2022. And you're looking at the depth chart, and yes, Jerry Tillery and Bilal Nichols will be the starting defensive tackles, but we need some depth behind them, and it seems like the Raiders were really counting on Byron Young there and Neil Farrell Jr., and they're kind of not healthy. So we'll see if they're able to bounce back next week and be activated after being put on these lists. So we talked about defensive backs, we talked talked about interior defensive line, wide receiver, tight ends, and now we got to talk about quarterback. And this is really complicated because Jimmy G, he's got the scheduled days off. They're trying to work him back, but you had a positive report about him from Omar Ruiz of NFL Network saying that it's a noticeable difference with Jimmy Garoppolo on the field. The crispiness with which they come at the crispness with which they come out of the huddle, the command that he has, the presence that he has, it is a big difference. That was really hard for me. And this sort of coincides with other reports about the backups. You had Vic Tafur saying that Aiden O'Connell has been a little erratic, but it's still early. So it does seem like overall Jimmy Garoppolo's stock is rising. I originally thought Aiden O'Connell's stock was rising because you heard the comments from Hunter Renfrow talking about how he's been accurate and the guys are ready to, buy all into him if they have to. He pretty much alluded to that. But perhaps Hunter Renfrow was just being nice and that's what he was doing, just hyping up the young rookie, giving him some confidence since he was having to fill in and get a lot of reps since Jimmy Garoppolo was not there on Friday. So overall, if I'm taking all of these reports as true and I'm just considering Hunter Renfrow being nice, not taking what he's saying as exactly the case, then I would say Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell's stock is falling while Jimmy Garoppolo's stock is rising. We will see how Garoppolo does, and a lot of celebrities are very interested in the Garoppolo phenomenon. You got Michael Irvin asked about this just the other day from Vegas Sports Today.
Jimmy Garoppolo to the Raiders, what do you think of him?
Hey, listen, I got to see that play out now.
So right away, he's already making sound effects just hearing the idea of Jimmy G and the Raiders. I'm sorry, guys, but it looks like it just makes him nervous thinking about it.
And Brock had an early great start in New England. He'll be coming back to that offense. He knows it. Hopefully it'll be helpful for him. The Raiders' problem wasn't always Carr problem.
Okay, so that's going to make a lot of people upset. He still tries to be a little positive, like, hey, maybe Garoppolo back with Josh McDaniels in New England is going to be even better and different than Garoppolo with the Niners, where he's sort of just a placeholder. But then he makes that statement that I know just grinds people's gears who do not like Derek Carr. And let's just listen to it one more time.
The Raiders' problem wasn't always Carr problem. The Raiders' problem.
Whew, that feels good.
The Raiders' problem was defense a lot of the time. So, a lot of times they put up a lot of...
So I guess the takeaway is there's more important problems for the Raiders than just quarterback, and the fixation on the quarterback is sort of irrelevant because overall that defense has to get better for this team to be a playoff team. And then we have former Portland Trailblazer. This guy is trying to get out of Portland, even though I just moved to Portland and I kind of wanted to see this guy ball out. Damian Lillard, he was asked about the quarterback situation and Jimmy Garoppolo, and this guy has always been more critical of Derek Carr. I remember him really pumping up Russell Wilson to the Raiders and hoping that happens. Thank goodness that didn't happen.
Think about Jimmy Garoppolo signing with the Raiders in his addition.
I just hope he's healthy. You know what I'm saying? Tay is my boy, so
So that's the hard thing when evaluating Garoppolo. The first thing you immediately think of is health, and it's kind of weird seeing this hesitation from all these people, but you can't blame them.
I want to see him get the ball, and if he can get him the ball, then I'm happy with it. I just want to see somebody behind center that's going to get the ball where it needs to go.
So Lillard is more so just trying to hype up Devontae Adams and sort of saying, hey, as long as he can get the ball to Devontae Adams, that's good. And he even does a little soft criticism, I think, of Derek Carr, just knowing this guy's history, saying he just wants someone at quarterback who can get Tay the ball, assuming that Tay didn't get the ball last year, even though it was a career year for him. But whatever. But there is an element of truth to what Damian Lillard is saying, which is that the Raiders have so many weapons on the offensive side of the football, even more than last year, especially given the fact that Renfrow and Waller are pretty much out. And if Jacobs comes back, then wow, this offense is explosive. You just need a quarterback to deliver the ball to these playmakers. Hopefully we have more surprises at training camp and we have more Raiders players balling out and doing much better than expected. We'll keep you up to date on everything happening with the Raiders on this channel, Wi-Fi Willie Raiders, and we'll be live during every single Raiders preseason game on this channel. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.